Notice of call for a special meeting of the City Council of the City of Blue Island, Illinois. Notice pursuant to Section 30.03 of the Code of Blue Island, Illinois, as well as Chapter 65 of Illinois Compiled Statutes 3.1-40-25. A special meeting of the City Council of the City of Blue Island, Illinois is hereby called for May the 28th, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. at 2434 Vermont Street, Blue Island, Illinois, 60406 for potential action in relation to. And then, so the public knows, the ones who had signed it, the alderman was Annette Alexander, alderman of the City of Blue Island, James M. Clinker, alderman of the City of Blue Island, and Freddie Bellato, alderman of the City of Blue Island. And the following are the paragraphs. An ordinance of the City of Blue Island, County of Cook, Illinois, amending Section 30.16 of the Code of Blue Island, Illinois regarding membership of standing committees. A resolution of the City of Blue Island, Cook County, Illinois, appointing members and chairpersons of the City Council standing committees. An ordinance of the City of Blue Island, Cook County, Illinois, amending chapters 30 and 31 of the Code of Blue Island, Illinois. And a resolution of the City of Blue Island, County of Cook County, retaining a legislative council and approving a retention agreement regarding the same. The agenda for the May 28, 2019 special meeting of the City Council of the City of Blue Island is attached hereto for public review. Thank you, dated May the 22nd, 2019. Again, this was prepared by Alderman Annette Alexander, Alderman James M. Clinker, and Alderman Fred Bellato. We move on now to the agenda of the special meeting, City Council of the City of Blue Island, again located at 2434 Vermont Street, May the 28th, 2019. And right now it's properly 6:34. Call this meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Carr.
Here.
Carr here. Cantelo-Zylman.
Here.
Cantelo-Zylman here. Slattery.
Here.
Slattery here. Clinker.
Here.
Clinker here. Alexander.
Here.
Alexander here. Johnson. Johnson absent. Bellato.
Here.
Bellato here. Cáceres.
Here.
Cáceres here. Rita.
Here.
Rita here. Donahue.
Here.
Donahue here. Hawley.
Here.
Hawley here. Farnwell. Farnwell here. Hill.
Here.
Hill here. Mack.
Here.
Mack here. 13 present, Your Honor.
All right, and before we start, from my understanding, Alderman Nancy Rita was sworn in before? City Clerk?
Yeah, she signed the oath of office.
Okay, all right, because I was going to swear her in later, but that's fine. We open up to public comment.
I'll be first.
I like being first. Doesn't happen that often.
Could you just maybe bring the mic just a little bit down towards, there you go.
Great, thanks. I want to make sure that everybody can hear me real loud and clear. Can everyone hear me? Yeah. Everybody can hear me?
Listen.
Oh, good. Blue Island City Hall is fraught with turmoil, corruption, dishonesty, FBI investigations of the Tahoes, the City of Blue Island, and Blue Island elected officials. Blue Island elected officials are expanding Blue Island's municipal debt. Everyone should be concerned about how our Blue Island elected officials are spending our precious limited tax dollars and ensure Blue Island City Hall actions are ethical and legal. There are multiple FBI investigations and no question multiple Blue Island elected officials, past, present, are likely to be charged and serve jail time. The 2019 election is over. Once again, the City of Blue Island has a single party in power. Their mandate is to resurface Blue Island streets, repeal the water rate increase, focus on infrastructure. Instead, today, Blue Island taxpayers will witness the City Council vote to implement a contract for legal representation from Wallace & Welch, who donated $2,000 to the Restore Blue Island Party, March 18th of 2019, giving the appearance of pay-to-play and or quid pro quo. With that first order of business focused on what certainly appears to be unethical behavior, misconduct, Blue Island taxpayers will witness the City Council vote to implement a written contract for legal representation for Blue Island aldermen, possibly Treasurer Bellato and Clerk Hauser from Wallace and Welch. That donation was made less than 90 days ago. If Blue Island aldermen, the treasurer, and the clerk want legal representation, they should forfeit their monthly stipend or pay and pay any additional difference instead of burdening the Blue Island taxpayers with another additional unnecessary expense that was not clearly part of the appropriation for 2019. Blue Island City Treasurer Bellato removed water fund money to obtain a better bond rating for the tax anticipation warrant. The money was not returned to the water fund, and February 23, 2016, Blue Island Alderman passed the resolution 2016-003 in conjunction with the December 10, 2013 ordinance to pay other bills with the $5.2 million from the water fund. The Blue Island water system has never been deemed properly functioning. Therefore, money should not have been removed for anything other than water. Blue Island taxpayers implemented and witnessed the implementation of the Lakeshore Waste contract before it was voted on by the Blue Island City Council. Implementing a contract before it's voted on does not give a good appearance. Nell Pittman of the 2600 block and Mike Meck of the 2500 block of Orchard Street revealed Orchard Street has not been resurfaced since 1960. It is expected Aldermen work with State Representatives Davis, Rita, Slaughter, and the Cook County Commissioner to secure Blue Island's fair share of funding to go toward Blue Island infrastructure. Blue Island Aldermen need to report on progress toward that success at regular intervals. FOIA requests for annual background checks, annual driving records, annual mandated reporters certificates of completion reveal all three are out of compliance for full, part-time, seasonal employees and volunteers at the John D. Recreation Center, the Meadows, the fire and police departments. There are multiple reports regarding the shared Blue Island Police Department substation, as well as multiple reports that Bob Jackson patrols the rec center neighborhood and carries a gun. These issues have gone unaddressed. FOIA requests for background checks, annual driving records, annual mandated reporter certificates, and completion reveals all are out of compliance for the Blue Island Park District, full, part-time, seasonal employees, and volunteers. None of the sirens in the 6th Ward area or at the Meadows could be heard yesterday during the tornado warning. That is unsafe and a liability for the city of Blue Island and should be a priority issue for EMS and both 6th Ward aldermen. All Blue Island aldermen and elected officials are now expected to get themselves up to speed, deal with the lessons learned, step forward and lead, act in an ethical manner, ensure laws are followed, mandates are met, and remain mindful that the April 2021 election is coming. To be silent is to be complicit, and we taxpayers must refuse either for more reasons than one. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Marcia Stone. I live at 12761 Sacramento here in Blue Island. I have one problem with your committee assignments. You have Alicia Slattery on the Public Health and Safety Committee. Her husband is a police officer, therefore she is in a conflict of interest. When I was an alderman, I was on that committee. When my son was hired here as a police officer, I was told I could not serve on that committee because it is a conflict of interest. So that needs to be changed.
That's fine.
Thank you.
I'll make a note. Thank you.
Emily Meyer, 2449 High Street, Blue Island. First, thanks to Will for canceling soccer practice so that I could be here today, which had nothing to do with me, but either way. I'm here in regards to items 3 and 4 on the agenda. I've been researching the publicly available expenditure reports as well as the city budget since learning of this meeting. Assuming I'm reading them correctly, the City of Blue Island paid the firm it currently retains $350,680.92 in 2018. In 2019, thus far, we have paid them $210,597.86. With that in mind, my questions that I hope you will address in regards to the proposed items 3 and 4 are as follows. First, what is your plan to avoid redundancy between the two firms? Second, at a fee of $185 an hour for attorney work alone, what is the per annum rate you anticipate this costing the city? And third, where is the money for an additional firm to come from? I note the agenda states any legal fees will be paid from the city's general fund from funds appropriated to legal fees or other such line items as the city council deems appropriate. But what does that mean? There's no line item for general funds in the city's budget. If it's the general administration fund, that was overspent by $748,618.89 in fiscal year 2018. If it's other line items as the city council deems appropriate, I would like to know from which line item specifically you envision pulling those funds. If these are questions that cannot be answered in detail, then perhaps this needs to be thought out more thoroughly. Those are my questions, and here is my comment. Many of you have only been on the city council for 2 weeks. 2 of you who called this meeting were only on the council 8 days prior to publishing the call. As one who has switched departments and universities multiple times throughout my professional career, I have to question whether that is an appropriate amount of time to gauge whether you are capable of working with the city attorney and the firm that the city retains. And if not, I would again encourage you to table these matters until you are able to properly gauge that. If you truly believe it is enough time, I would encourage each alderman who votes aye to publish an open letter detailing to the public your personal experiences as to what precipitated this action, as well as noting how this new firm was vetted and which other firms you considered in this brief timeline. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. I'm very opposed to the idea of hiring an additional counsel, an additional law firm to represent the city. It makes no sense. The city cannot sue itself if there's differences of opinions, and it's an expensive, time-costing waste of money. It's especially disturbing that this law firm that was, the agreement was already written up for, was a campaign contributor to the Restore Blue Island Party. That gives just a horrible, horrible sense of corruption. That if you give right? Yeah, and people here agree that if you have big contributors to your campaign fund, and then right after the election you give them a job, that you hire them, that looks terribly inappropriate. The other major problem that I have is that this whole exercise today with this special meeting shows that there's a interest in putting the political squabbling ahead of the interests of this town. The people of Blue Island have not elected you guys to like each other, but we have elected you to work together. That you need to be engaged in a contest to see who can come up with the best ideas for paving our streets, for attracting more business, for getting all of our infrastructure in shape, for getting our sewers fixed up. That's what people are interested in. That's what I'm interested in. Is that what you're interested in? Right, so please, get to work on these important items. You know, we don't want political squabbling. We want to get these problems resolved.
Anybody else?
Good evening. My name is Ron Bloom, 2421 Walnut, a proud resident of Blue Island for almost 34 years now. And during those 34 years, I've seen a lot of changes in Blue Island, some good, some bad. Like many areas, we have our own challenges. I want to start out, however, this evening by congratulating all of those newly elected and re-elected. And thank you for your commitment to Blue Island. You know, and I want to recall, it was mentioned before, just a couple of weeks ago, you took an oath of office. It's a very solemn oath of office. And I just want to take a minute and have everybody think about that oath of office, because that was an oath to our community. That was an oath to me. That was an oath to everyone here. That was an oath to everyone listening if they can hear this. And I encourage you to appropriate some funds to improve the sound system here. But again, I just want to have you think about that your allegiance is to the constituents. It is not to the power brokers, whether it's at the township level or the state level or the local level. It's to the citizens of this community. It's to the rich fabric of this community that has made this community great, that has the roots in this community, that has the commitment to this community. It's not to the power brokers in Springfield. It's not to further those that may be thinking of future mayoral actions and running for mayor and putting people in place to help those opportunities. It's not to spend money we don't have. And from my view of what I understand is being proposed, first of all, I want to say thank you for calling this special election, because that opens the door to communication. And as you can see from those present here and those listening, that's what this community is all about. It is raising the awareness of this community about the obligations that each of you have in serving the community. And I encourage you to think about that as you go forth within your office. It was mentioned that, you know, you were elected to work together, right, for the betterment of the community. Please do that. Please put the political affiliations aside. We've got a lot of work to do in this city to make it great again. And I look at each one of you to do your very level best for that. As was said before, we need to revitalize Blue Island's economy. We need to bring jobs to Blue Island, not pay more money for another law firm when we already have a law firm. We need to ensure the safety and security support our police, our fire, our EMS at all levels. We need to improve the infrastructure, the streets, the sewers, as was said. You know, and I'm not here to offer just problems. We all know that. But maybe here's part of a solution. Take the tens of thousands of election campaign posters and brochures that we received and mix them with a little cement, and maybe that could help fill some of the potholes. Again, but I sincerely do thank you for your service. And we all have a commitment to the citizens in this community. And as a litmus test, as you assess the decisions that have to be made, is it right for the community, or are you bowing before some other powers that are telling you what to do? Again, thank you.
Hi, my name is Bob Manthai. I live at 2448 Walnut Street. To the members of the Restore Party, one of your campaign slogans was that you had a plan for repaving the streets. I know many people asked at that time for specifics. I never saw any. Maybe there was some I didn't see or hear about. What I'd like to know is this part of your plan to repave the streets? Have anyone given us a copy of your plan or any details? I know Alderman Klinker and Alderman Slattery had a neighborhood meeting and you were asked for details on the plan. And I believe you said you're going to apply for grants. correct?
That's part of it, yes.
Do you have more details you'd like to give us, or?
Not currently, no.
Not currently. Well, I would assume that you folks knew the plan before you ran. As a candidate, you must have approved of it and seen that it would work, but yet you can't tell us any details. Thank you.
Good evening. Joe Murphy, 13042 Southwestern. Like Mr. Bloom, I'd like to congratulate all the candidates that ran. I too was fortunate to win re-election for the 7th time, starting my 31st year serving the people of Blue Island for the last 25 other communities. We talked about Restore Blue Island. It was disappointing that the Restore Blue Island committee group chose not to support its very own Blue Islander, who has served for 30 years Blue Island. And when I approached Alderman Donahue at 5:45 in the morning and looked at the palm card that was being distributed and saw Orland Park, Payless, and asked Alderman Donahue, why weren't you supporting Blue Island's own Murphy? His response was, that's above my pay grade. Well, appointing him to head finance, I think, is above his pay grade for the citizens of Blue Island. To then go to my polling place at 6 o'clock in the morning, vote, and then to exit, and at 6:05 run into Representative Rita and thank him for his support, not. And his response to me is, you didn't F Farrenwald. And I still wasn't awake, so I said, excuse me. And his response was, you didn't F Farrenwald and support DeNova, payback support. I think that's sad. That's restoring Blue Island? I'd like to point out that in 2013 we had an election and this city came together and 61% voted for Mayor Vargas. In 2017 we had an election and 72% supported Mayor Vargas. What you're proposing to do tonight is what newly elected Mayor Lightfoot in Chicago is undoing, which is they see the problem with giving aldermen too much power all by themselves. And her first executive order was to strike the decades-old system in Chicago of running Chicago at the aldermanic level. I've sat on boards and communication between each other, whether you're together or against, don't like someone's perfume or whatever, cologne, whatever, you deal with it and you work together as a group for the group you're representing. I'm disappointed that I spent 3 months trying to get back on the ballot of Moraine Valley because 60% of my signatures were challenged, including 2 of my daughters. And so I spent $5,000, of which I didn't have, to just get my name on the ballot. And I think it was mentioned earlier, Is this payback time? Someone's helped with some legal, and now we owe them a favor? That's all I have to say. I would just ask, I know most of you personally, I'd ask that you vote your conscience, and that's it.
Anyone else?
Jim Mitzstoffer, 2444 High Street. I just had, as my daughter said, the lovely Emily Meyer, you need to, you need to think about what your actions are going to do. How does this affect the future? If Mayor Vargas does not run again and the next mayor, is he handcuffed with these decisions? Does this mean every 2 years we're going to have to go through this process? Because somebody doesn't like somebody else or somebody else? Does your decisions right now, and if you're in the minority, are you going to be like our great Congress is now and squabble and get nothing done? So you truly need to think about your decisions and how it affects everybody in the future. I have 6 grandchildren, 4 of them that live here and that are raised. 30 years from now, I don't want them to have to stand up here and say the same thing. We need to look to the future. That's why you were elected. Not to squabble. I do commend you for taking the time and the effort to do this. I couldn't. I work too much. I don't have enough time. So I give you plenty of credit for that. You're all adults. Please act like it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Given the public comment, is there a motion to table? Alderman?
Make a motion to approve an ordinance of the City of Blue Island, Cook County, Illinois, amending Chapter 30 of the Code of Blue Island, Illinois.
Second. Alderman Blount's motion.
Question, Alderman, go ahead.
I'm going to have a number of questions tonight, and I would like to thank the public for turning out. I thought those were very effective presentations. Thank you very much. And in fact, I'm going to digress a moment. I had a really difficult decision to make 2 years ago, and I had to look inside myself and not be concerned with who had sponsored me or what they thought of me or what they would do to me. And I made a decision that was the right decision, and I made an enemy that was the right enemy. Anyway, I'd like to ask a few questions. And I'd like to start with Alderman Meck. And we've known one another a long time. And Alderman, I know that I'm going to count on you because I know you to do the right thing and to tell the truth. And so that's why I want to ask you a question about something I'm curious about. These, all these ordinances that we're being asked to pass tonight are, very significant, big changes, as we've heard from here tonight. And it had to be a fairly complex process to go through to reach the, the language and the decisions and so forth that were required to make this all happen tonight. And you're a freshman member of the council, so this may all be a little bit new to you. So maybe perhaps from your fresh perspective, I'd like to just hear from you. How did this happen? How did y'all come together for this night to make these decisions?
I'm going to tell you personally. I've known Bill for a long time, and I thank you for questioning me and putting me on the as the firing squad here. Personally, I feel there's decisions that changes have to be made. You're asking me how it came about?
Right.
Well, you can see who signed these, and they pushed it forward. There were 3 aldermen who decided to create a document or create a function for these changes. Personally, I support these changes.
Okay. When did you become aware of these changes that they were going to make?
Within, actually, when I received documents from Lori.
Okay, so you hadn't had any,
I had no input to these changes prior to the,
so it's apparently, it sounds like it's 3 aldermen who are making this decision to put this before us all.
Mayor,
Let him finish. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I can answer some of his questions.
Well, I'm not asking you, Fred.
She's on-
I'm not asking you.
Why won't you ask me?
We'll get to that. Don't worry about
I polled
it.
every alderman. I polled.
I have
I'm
this
an elected
floor.
official.
I have this
He
floor.
has the floor.
I
don't-
have
don't
this
answer. I
floor
just
right
put it
now.
out there. I polled every alderman.
Okay. So you were polled.
yes.
You said you hadn't heard about it
Well,
before.
I did not, I was not involved in drafting the documents.
And what was the nature of the polling that was done?
No. Meaning,
This is important. How were you approached? What happened? How did you receive a poll?
You're under oath.
Just tell the truth. It's simple
I
enough.
am, it's
we in court?
complicated, so I'm just trying to think. Give me a minute. I appreciate it. I think as aldermen, we were asked, and we were polled.
Individually.
By
and-
whom and when?
Well, within, I would say within
By-
the last 10 days.
Okay. And who
Alderman
who
Below.
submitted the poll to you?
I would say Mr. Bellato.
Okay. All right. And what was the nature of the poll? What were you asked?
First of all, I can start with the committees.
Okay, sure, that's fine. However you want to do it, it's
Okay.
fine, Mike.
You know, I think in a committee poll, we should be asked of what our maybe expertise or commitment or drive is before we're put on a committee that we're not considered for. So I do feel the committee situation with this is the right thing. Because I think Honorable Mayor, he may not have our history or our passion to go on the right committees.
But that's actually, I appreciate your point of view, but that's actually not the question I'm asking, which is, you were polled about what position you'd like, what committee assignment you'd like to have, right?
Right.
Yeah. And you were polled about, there's 4 ordinances in front of us right now, okay? And one of them the first one has to do with changing the way the committees are selected. So how were you polled on that subject?
We were polled individually.
Uh-huh. And how was the poll conducted? Was it in writing? Were you asked a question?
We had a conversation, and we had in writing of what our interests were or what our drive was.
So you talked to Fred on the phone or whatever?
Yes.
Okay, and was there also something submitted in writing to you?
Yes.
Okay. And that question was what? About this, about the
What are
changing
our
of the,
interests? What
no,
are-
about changing the way that the committees are structured or set.
You know, they were given to me as, what is your interest?
Okay, you weren't asked if you thought that the way the committees should be structured should be
No,
changed.
more what our interests are.
Okay, so, but you just weren't asked about that?
No,
Right.
what our interests are, what we feel we could benefit the city.
And did you, I guess you mentioned about the mayor, so I've got to ask also, did you ever reach out to the mayor to let him know, what positions you'd like to have on committees?
No, but on the other hand, they never reached out to us either.
He announced here that he was going to be, considering committee assignments, so you
But
did have
he-
the opportunity.
But his office never reached out to us.
You're
As
an
far as
adult,
I'm
you could have reached out to him.
And
You could have reached out to him.
Ordinance states advice and consent of the city council. We never received.
I'm not asking you a question, Fred.
I'll make a motion to vote on this motion now.
I'm speaking.
second
All right, end
I'm
debate, because this is
speaking.
not going anywhere. We can answer questions. We can answer questions. We're not being allowed. I'm not being recognized.
I'm just starting, Fred.
This is- yes,
We're going
I
to
know,
be
you're
here
just
all
starting.
night. We're going to be here a long time.
Farewell
Believe
has the
me.
floor.
I've got a lot of questions, a whole bunch of them.
We have a lot of questions about the Tahoes.
And Mike, again, thank you for, I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but
Well, you know what, Bill, it's okay.
yeah, no, I know,
I
and
get it.
I trust you for that,
I
so,
get it.
but I thank you.
I mean,
These are important questions.
personally, I would think the mayor's office would reach out to say what committees, who is interested in what committees.
That would have been one way to go, but
And
you,
that
you,
would be,
yeah,
and honestly, that's how it was approached to me.
okay. So, okay, then moving on to the question, the second kind of issue that we're going to face tonight, which is hiring another law firm. How did you learn about that?
Individually as well.
Okay, and how did that happen?
Honestly, through Fred.
Okay, yeah. And a phone call or a conversation or an email or,
I believe it was a conversation.
okay. And what was the question?
Looking at the, if I would think we would need some representation.
Why?
Because there's a lack of communication with the
I'm not asking
administration.
you, I'm not asking you.
I have my own feelings.
Okay,
And I'm
but,
gonna be hon- I'll tell you what my feelings are.
all right, fine, go ahead.
And that's all right, and you're fine, Bill.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless, we're gonna say hello to each other on
Right. No,
on
we
Western
are,
Avenue. My feelings about this whole thing with representation. I sat here during council last 6 months. I watched it on our TV's channel. And I felt there was something lacking as not representing the city, but more representing the mayor. That's my honest opinion.
You're having backdoor meetings, that's what you're doing.
Order, sorry.
That's not
So,
true.
you know where, you can obviously stand how I feel about this. And over the last few months, I had an opinion about our representation. our
So
legal
was it explained to you what this other law firm would be able to do?
I think some options, Bill.
Well, what, for instance, I mean, so we're going to now have two law firms representing
Well,
the city.
I think a law firm, I mean, who's guarding the guards? It comes down to, who's guarding the guards in this situation?
You haven't, you haven't been.
Well, right.
The present attorney is
I'm not
representing
asking
the
you a
mayor.
question.
Alderman
I am
Farrell
not
will have
asking
the
you a
floor.
question. I will. But you haven't been on city council yet, so you haven't yet worked with our current law firm. That's correct, right? You don't really know, you don't have any first-hand experience
No,
with them.
I've never worked with this law firm.
Right.
I've seen him in action here,
Mm-hmm.
and that would make me open.
But you didn't have any first-hand knowledge of what was going on. You just saw what you saw from the
Well, I
audience,
think
right?
Bill, you can really judge, I mean, financially, or you can see their emotion or their action. And I'll be honest with you, during this Tahoe process, that's what truly triggered a question in my mind.
Okay. So when you had this discussion about whether there should be a new law firm appointed, did you have any questions about it or wonder what they were going to do or, or who they were or what their qualifications are?
Qualifications, availability, price point,
You talked about all that.
yes.
Okay. And was it of any interest to you that they are a donor to your political party?
To be honest with you, this is the first I've heard.
We're told
That's
that.
the first I've heard.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm honest.
No, I appreciate that. No, I appreciate your honesty. I know you will be
I'm
honest
honest.
with me. I appreciate that. So there's four ordinances up before us. One is to, and the final one is to appoint this new law firm. Do you think that we should have a process to vet a law firm rather than just having one that is a donor to your campaign brought to us and voted on tonight?
Alderman Farrell, what was the process when you voted for Olson and Stark?
Yeah, what was that process?
You voted for Olson and Stark bill. What was the process there?
I'm not asking you a
I'm
question.
going to answer.
What was
We
the
can talk
process?
about that later.
Go ahead, Alderman.
Mr. Horvath has donated at least $2,700 to the various Blue Island campaigns as well.
I have never donated a penny.
Odelson and Stirk.
Make sure you're accurate when you make such an accurate.
I apologize. Odelson and Stirk.
You want a bottle of water? We're going to be here.
That's fine. No, sure. If you want to bring me a bottle of water, that's fine.
Go ahead, Alden.
Okay, so, again, do you think it's maybe worth looking at some alternatives at least?
Possibly.
Okay, all right. All right, well, thank you. I appreciate that. So, I'd like to kind of continue this, if I might, sir?
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Put him on the spot.
Okay, Alderman Clinker.
Fred.
You're signing on to this proposal. Obviously, you believe in it. I'd like to know again, initially, what was the process that you went through as one of the signatories to this proposal? How were you, what did you talk about, and what were the considerations that you went through to make this decision?
Had conversations with Fred regarding everything that's on there, as far as why I signed it when he came up. I'm sorry. I had conversations. Let me make sure this is on. Can you hear me? With Alderman Bellato regarding all
Is the
this.
mic on?
It's on. Can you hear me?
Jim.
Yeah, just pull it a little closer to you. That helps usually. Yeah, if you get up close, it works.
And to tell you the honest to goodness truth, there's a few reasons that all this kind of comes to play with why I ran for alderman and everything to begin with. I believe that there is a disconnect between the mayor's office and most of the aldermen. I think that's very obvious, maybe not tonight, but it has been in the past. I feel that the council needs a stronger voice, and that everyone's holding us to the fire to do things such as fix streets like Bob Manthei said, so therefore we should be more involved in things. So I think as far as coming up with the ways to create these committees, I think it's a good idea. So
Okay.
that, you're absolutely right, I sign on with that.
Okay, yeah.
Okay?
I motion to debate.
Second.
Out of order.
I make a motion to appeal the decision of the chair.
Out of order.
I make a motion to appeal the decision of the chair.
Second.
Proper rules of order, you take a roll call.
Farewell, continue, Alderman Farewell.
You have to
No,
take
no,
a roll
no, no,
call.
no, no, no.
Alderman Farewell has the floor.
All right, so
This is exactly why we need a lawyer to represent us.
This is exactly why we're doing this. I made a motion to appeal the decision of the chair. I made a motion to appeal
To get the proper decision, yes.
Farewell, go ahead.
I would,
This is why we're doing it. Let us talk. Let us talk. They're not letting us talk.
let us talk, exactly. Let us talk, just let us talk. That's all, let us talk.
My Alderman Bellato's motion was out of order.
Alderman Farewell has the floor. He has not relinquished the floor. He is asking appropriate questions of his fellow aldermen. If Alderman Bellato has a comment or comments that he wishes to make, he will be recognized just like any other alderman. At this point in time, it's Alderman Farewell's floor. He has a right to ask questions since he has obviously been left out of the polling and the mix that has apparently taken place prior to this evening.
That's pretty, actually, that's why I'm asking.
That's
these
not
questions,
following
because
the
I
Robert's
do
rules,
not
though.
understand what happened here. So, Alderman Clinton, go ahead, please.
Farewell, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So, just to give you an idea, I have had dealings. Obviously I worked for the city for 33 plus years. So I've worked with this mayor, I worked with the previous mayor, I've worked with this attorney before in a different area, when I was on the union board and all that other kind of stuff. Back to, I'm giving one more point again with the committee appointments. 2 weeks ago was the first council meeting when we were all sworn in. There were 6 weeks between, this is just my thinking, 6 weeks between the election and then. We all knew April 2nd who the winners were. My opinion is we should have had that done then so we could move forward with city business, which is another reason why I was willing to sign on to this when I was approached by Alderman Bellato. Okay? As far as the attorney goes, and once again, this is my opinion, I feel that Mr. Horvath acts as the mayor's attorney. He doesn't act as the council's attorney. So therefore, we're looking at bringing in another attorney to help the council with legislative issues. If there's something that we have a question on, someone that we can trust. He's appointed, Mr. Horvath is appointed, his law firm, I apologize, is appointed by the mayor. if I remember correctly, 2 years ago, it wasn't approved, and he was appointed on a temporary basis, which has just since continued. Okay?
Correct.
So I have dealt with this attorney before. I don't want to get into too many issues, but I emailed you all when I left this fire department a couple years ago about a lie that man said to you right here at the council meeting. Every single one of you, not you, I'm sorry, not everyone, but everyone that was here at that time. We talked about it afterwards. I explained it to you. So I have personal dealings with Mr. Horvath.
Right.
So when this issue was brought up, I thought it was a great idea, so that's why I signed on to it.
All right, did you think it was a great idea that this would be a law firm that contributed to your reelection campaign?
You know what? I understand that. I knew that ahead of time, and I also do know that Olson Stirk has donated to several campaigns over the year in the city of Blue Island,
Okay.
which is the law firm that you voted for to approve Mr. Horvath's firm, or not Mr. Horvath's, Olson and Stirk 2 years ago. So it's pretty much the same thing, Bill.
Yes, it is.
They did donate to your campaign. They didn't donate to my campaign. I mean, Olson Stirk did not donate to my campaign, just for starters. They did donate to your campaign, and very recently. It does, well, to me, it has the appearance.
Your campaign expense report, though?
Alderman Farewell has the floor.
All right, so what will the new law firm do that will, I don't know, replace or supplement or augment what Olson Stirk will do?
The way that it was explained to me, with talking with Fred, is that he's here to help us with legislative issues. If we have questions, we need someone that the council can trust to give good advice for the council and for the citizens of Blue Island, not someone who has been appointed by the mayor, not approved by the council, who basically is the mayor's attorney, in my opinion.
All right, and then who wrote these ordinances? They're pretty well written. They
I
seem
am
like.
not aware of who wrote them. I talked to Fred. He asked me if I would sign off on it, and I
Okay. Did you wonder who wrote them and paid
did
for
not.
them?
I read through them and I agreed with them, and I signed them.
Okay. Anyway, so if this firm, as I understand it from reading the letter, and I don't pretend to fully understand what they're going to be doing myself, to consult or assist on legislative matters, we don't do a lot of legislating, actually. I mean, we pass handicap ordinances and this and that, but I don't quite know what that all covers, I guess. I'm curious about that, and having never been consulted on any of this, I'm curious. Do you know?
Okay, I do. You know what? Legislative issues will explain to me. These are ordinances that we're passing. Every single ordinance is a legislative issue, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Once again, I'm
Yes.
brand new to this, okay?
Right.
So I suggest if you have questions as far as where that goes, I believe the idea is to supplement or assist us, not oversee, not the word is overreach, whatever the word is, Mr. Horvath's firm. If we're not looking into doing anything like collective bargaining or any of the other issues that he takes care of. What we're looking at is someone, once again, that we can trust as a council to represent the council, not represent the mayor specifically. That's absolutely right. The council that's what I was sworn to do, is to represent the city, and this is the way that
I do want to say, in my experience, Olson and Stirk has represented the city and not the mayor. I have had I don't agree with that opinion, frankly.
Okay.
So I don't understand.
Do you agree with the fact that he lied to you a year and a half ago when I retired as fire chief and I pointed it out to you?
I heard your side. I wasn't there. I don't know. I know that you're an honest man, and I wouldn't question
You were here the day I left.
Yes, I was.
And I sent an email to all 14 aldermen and to the mayor, and I got one or two responses like, oh, that's horrible or something from one or two of you guys. Nothing else from anyone else. If you want me to refresh your memory, it's in regards to the fact why Ken Dompling wasn't allowed to apply because Mr. Horvath said he didn't meet the qualifications, and he clearly did. And there was also an issue about another person who applied who didn't have a degree. That was another one of the requirements. And Mr. Horvath said that they weren't aware of that when I have an email 3 days before that proves it to him, that it was emailed to the mayor, it was emailed to the law, it was emailed to, I believe it was Leslie, I'm not sure if it was him, but he said that the law firm wasn't aware that that person was not qualified. They flat out lied here in a city council meeting. So, it might be personal, I don't know if it is or not. You've had good dealings with him, I'm sure he's a good lawyer, but I've had some problems, and I think that we need someone that's going to look out for our interests.
But I just think that we don't necessarily want to go off and hire the first law firm that's brought to us without getting a chance to vet any other options. And that is my opinion, yeah. And again, I wasn't consulted on any of this because I'm not a part of the game. All right. So, Alderman Carr, I'm going to kind of ask a similar question to you. How were you approached? What was your experience in putting this agenda together for tonight.
Well, I was not the one that put it together. My signature.
No, I understand. I understand.
I didn't. Okay. First of all, I didn't sign the notice of
Right,
call.
right.
I did speak to Fred over the weekend.
Since this notice was we received the notice, you spoke with him over the
Right.
weekend? Yeah, okay, gotcha. Kind of what was the nature of that conversation?
He asked me about which committees I would be interested in. He spoke to me about what the duties would be for the law firm. And I would have to agree that I also feel that Mr. Horvath represents the mayor more than he represents the city as a whole. He tends to protect the mayor. And he has been the counsel for the city, even though he was not approved by the city council.
In any of these conversations that you've had with Fred on this issue, or events leading up to this, or anybody else for that matter, has it been your impression that State Senator Bob Rita is involved in this in any way, is influencing this?
No.
No, really? Okay, that's okay. I was curious if you thought that was a possibility, but you don't think so.
No.
Okay, all right. All right. I'll just go down the road. I got kind of similar questions for you, Alderman. How did this work for you?
Fred Villado approached me
Uh-huh.
and explained things to me, and I agreed with him.
And he explained how?
Explained about the committees, explained about the legislative, explained about the committees, explained about the legislative, and I told him I would listen at the meeting today, and I'll give my vote. At that point, I agreed with Fred.
Okay, and did you have a discussion in any depth about the law firm?
No, not really.
So you just thought that was a good idea because Fred said it?
We discussed it a little bit, and I was kind of in a hurry because I was getting done with school.
So that's enough consideration to...
Like I said, I was going to vote tonight. I was going to listen to what everybody had to
Okay,
say.
all right, so you're going to vote, you'll vote your conscience tonight. Is that right?
I will vote after tonight. I'll just decide.
Okay, so you haven't made a decision about the law firm
Not a
yet?
total decision, no.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. All right. Alderman, what's your take on this?
Well, since I've been here the last 2 years with this law firm, I feel personally there's not representation for the city. I understand that he was appointed by the mayor, as are other positions in the city, but they need to have the city's best interest in their mind all the time. And let me address something else. As for being chair of a public safety committee, it's not going to be a conflict of interest because my husband and I are currently going through a divorce, so if that was one of your questions, you can save it. So it won't be a conflict of interest, nor is it really anybody's business, but continue with your questions.
Okay, I was not going to ask that, and I
Well,
wasn't.
you know what, it was brought up, so I just felt the need to address it.
Okay, fair
since-
enough, and I'm sorry to hear that.
So besides that, I also have 15 years of law enforcement experience. I've worked public safety, I've worked dispatch, I've worked with fire departments, and I'm currently employed by a sheriff's department, so I feel that I would be a good choice for public safety. But, you know, it's not going to be a conflict of interest, so any other questions about it, feel free to keep them to yourself.
Okay. I wasn't asking that question.
I don't care.
I didn't ask that
So,
question.
To continue with that, the committees should be asked what people's interests are. We have teachers, we have retired public safety, we have, you know, people who know things, you know, accountants and everything. And I think people who have interests or backgrounds in such committees should be asked what they want. Yes, we should have reached out. At the same time, the city was kind enough to send out letters to everyone about their emails and everything. So you couldn't address, you know, add into your email letter that, hey, we're asking for some committees, give us, you know, your top 2 choices. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. As for the law firm, I feel like a legislative municipal law firm would be helpful to us because we have a lot of new aldermen. It takes quite a couple of years to get used to Robert's rules and, you know, municipal law and judiciary, you know, and codification and all kinds of things. You have residents ask you lots and lots of questions, and you want to feel that you can give the best answer. And I feel since there's zero communication in this city, that I should be able to email the mayor, the chief, any chief, police chief, fire chief, public works, water department, anybody. I feel like I should be able to email, even
the attorney. Yes, I understand you're going to charge me for emailing you, but I should be able to email you and get an answer. People in the 7th Ward voted for me, voted for my co-alderman, voted for everybody else in their selective wards. We're here to represent you. I can't get an answer if nobody's responding to my email.
Okay.
Yep.
Fair enough. Was there any discussion when you talked about the law firm, how extensive was the discussion? How much background did you have coming into tonight's meeting?
I asked what their qualifications are. I was told that they are municipal law, that they practice municipal law. And to me, I think that that is a good qualification, you know, considering we're in a city.
And was it mentioned that they had donated to your campaign?
No, it wasn't mentioned, but, you know, everybody
Okay.
else donates to other people's campaigns. I'm sure other law firms donate to campaigns. I'm sure if we vet 17 different law firms, that they've donated to other cities' campaigns. Or
But not to
other-
yours. But not to yours.
Okay, yes,
Not
to
yours.
me. Yeah, the $2,000 that he supposedly donated.
Well, he did. It's on public record.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay. Yeah.
Anything else?
No, you made a good point though about, because I'm just been an alderman for 2 years, and you're right. There's a lot to learn, and I'm really kind of feeling in a lot of ways like I'm just getting up to speed. And we have 5, 6, 7 freshman aldermen. The number I'm not sure, but a number of them. And it is of interest to see them come in their first meeting to propose landmark changes and to appoint a law firm about which apparently they don't have a lot of information at a significant expense to the city without any real discussion. I'd be curious to see how we all vote. There was some comments tonight about we're all here to serve and who our constituents are and who they're not. And it's important. This is a really important moment tonight. It's an important vote that you're all going to be asked to cast.
Well, considering we've been here for the last hour, I think we have had a good discussion so far.
Well, no, I'm glad we are having this discussion. It's very helpful. Yeah.
No, I don't have any place to be, but thank you for your comments in the peanut gallery.
Okay, if I might, I don't want to be here all night, so Alderman Alexander, you're new. We don't know one another very well, really at all, and so I look forward to getting to know you over time here. But you are very new to this whole process, and you are signing on to this, what we're doing here tonight, so I'd like to hear your point of view on all of this. How you were approached, why you decided that this would be a good move.
I was not approached. I approached Fred.
Okay.
Because there were things that I had seen at council meetings that I was not in agreement with. Several meetings that I've come to that made public comments and questions to the mayor that were lies, and the current attorney backed up the mayor. I did not like, which I felt like we needed a new attorney.
Okay.
As far as being appointed to the committees, I feel that we should be able to choose the committee we want to based on our experiences and our skills.
Okay.
Not just to be appointed to any committee.
And if in the next election your group is in the minority, you'll still be comfortable with the fact that it'll be a different group that's making those appointments?
Again, those appointments should be based on our skills and
They
experiences.
certainly should. Yes, I agree with that. Yeah. All right. Alderman Caceres, how about you? You're new here. How did this go for you?
Well, first of all, thanks for asking me the questions as well. First of all, I don't claim to know all the answers, especially since this is my first time in this side of the room. I've always been on that side of the room. Now, what I can tell you is, I'm an open ears. I'm always listening, and I'm listening to everyone, including you, Bill. You know, I'm always approaching you, listen to you. I want to know everything that I can learn. Right now, the biggest voice in my ear right now is my fellow alderman, Fred Bellato, which has approached me, has told me long in the past issues that are coming to the city, issues that have been ongoing, and so on. And in my opinion, I joined to try to make that change. Do I believe that everyone here was going to be taking sides? No. But I do believe that at this case, what I've been told about issues at hand or ways that we can move forward to change or fix, or if they need fixing together. These are basically, I've been told solutions, and I've signed on to try to make that happen. Now, are they the wrong solution? Are they right? Are they wrong? I'm willing to take that chance and say I'm willing to make these votes. Now, have I made my decision? No, because I'm here. Like I said, I'm listening. I'm listening to everyone. I don't know fellow aldermen, you freshman aldermen. I've already taken calls. I've already pledged myself to try to fix these things. Anyone that knows me, I get my hands dirty. I go out and do things. If I can't get the council to do them, if I can't get the people responsible to do them, I do them myself. Here, this is the first time I'm beholden to a group of people to come together and make a decision. So, forgive me if I'm ranting about decisions, but here I am ready to decide on that. In terms of, I feel like that answers all the questions about committees, but I am very impassioned about a few things in my community, and I do believe that with that being said, the councils themselves should be able to at least have a voice in where they serve their city,
Okay. Do you feel like you've had a sufficient voice in the selection of the attorney?
Pardon?
Do you feel like you've had a sufficient voice in the selection of this proposed attorney?
Unfortunately, I don't know much about legal jargon or about legalities. All I know is whomever will be representing the council should have the best interest of the council, which is also representing the city. Now, I know not everyone's going to agree with that, but I'm hoping. I know this council is going to change. It changes here and there. Every election, the majority changes to the minority and so on. But I believe that whomever is sitting on this council should have that choice.
And so Alderman Bellato has given you that feeling that this would be the best attorney?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And did he give you any feeling that others in the city council felt the same way?
I haven't had enough time to speak with other council members senior council members such as I have with Fred Bellato, but I have heard the same story coming from those members, which is it's tough. It's tough not to have a representation when it comes down to legal issues.
Okay. And how did you get that impression from the others?
Basically, if I can use one word, is the word bully. I'm hearing bullying, and I don't believe that's I don't want to come into this feeling like any measures I want to push forward, or we as a.
And you're hearing that from your fellow.
That's correct. Yeah.
Party members. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Well, Fred, Alderman Bellato, you're.
Last?
No, we'll go on. So. Your name's come up a lot, so if you could just help us understand how you came to this decision, I guess, and how you wanted to put this all together tonight.
I'm going to ask you a question first. And I don't know if this thing's not working, is
it? Not too well, but we... No. Yeah, take another one, yeah.
All right, Bill.
There you go.
I'm going to ask you a question. In all the years you've known me, and you got to be very partial, you expect me to be very honest with you. Right. Do I try to compromise?
You want me to answer that honestly?
Yeah.
Do I try to compromise? I said, for the times you've known me, for the issues that we've had a lot of discussion for, have I not tried to compromise?
You do try to compromise.
Thank you.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Yes, you do.
I did, for 2 years now. I think that night, it wasn't for you, I think it might have been Alderman Hawley, I talked to the night that they brought in Olson and Sturk back. I said, I'm not happy. Correct, Mr. Hawley? All right. My issue has been with Olson and Sturk. Not so much Olson and Sturk. I actually have retained Bert Olson in the past and have a lot of respect for him and other members of his firm. I think the approach from the city attorney that wasn't approved by a majority of the city council and was thrown at us at the last minute, and Olson and Sturk has donated to multiple campaigns, including your campaign 2 years ago, it wasn't the right fit for the city. The committee structure, which is what we're talking about right now in this motion, okay, I want to clarify, there's 4 motions but 2 issues. One's committee and one's attorneys. The issue with the committees, the current ordinance, which I'm probably one of the few, along with you, Bill, that read everything, right? Public health and safety didn't even exist in our ordinance book. We added that in this ordinance. It didn't exist at all. So the fact that it was meeting, I have no idea why it was meeting. It was never in the ordinance book. We corrected that in this ordinance. The other issue with committees, 2 years ago, did we not all vote for the committees that were given out without our input?
Did we not?
Did we all vote for it?
No.
Yes, we did.
We voted for all the
Yes, we
committees?
did. Yeah, because I wanted to work together, and I believe at the end of the day, you and Alderman Hawley and Alderman Johnson and the few people that are not on the team, we want the best for the city. In this situation, I did take it upon myself when I didn't receive a committee list at our first meeting to poll the aldermen where they would fit. And not all of them were polled. I was throwing this together at the last minute. And I take full credit for throwing this out there because it bothered me 2 years ago, and it's bothered me since. I was one of the few lucky ones that I enjoy working on community development, and I'm sure Alderman Hawley, do I enjoy working on community development with you?
Yep.
And have we not agreed 99% of the time on that committee?
Yes.
Okay. I felt that a polling of the aldermen was the right thing to do since we didn't get a list the first meeting.
Okay.
That's what was drawing the issue.
You
This
didn't poll
wasn't
us.
premeditated.
You
It
didn't poll
wasn't.
us.
It wasn't. I wasn't polled 2 years ago either, though. Bill.
The two
Okay.
two wrongs make a right, Fred.
I admitted to it, though. I'm saying that. I wasn't polled 2 years ago. We went with it anyway. Okay. I felt in this motion, these two issues, there was a lot of issues that were brought up by other aldermen and members of the public about the way the city's been run the last couple of years. And I felt peel the Band-Aid off. Just get it over with, not to be heavy-handed. Not strip any authorities away outside of signing committees and attorney. The big question, I'll go back to the attorney thing, unless you want to revisit that when we get to the end of the question of that one.
No,
But
go ahead.
I'll lightly bring it up in case you miss me next time. The attorney wasn't approved by a majority of the city council. The ordinance is advice and consent. We didn't go talking about police chief, fire chief, financial director, any of that stuff. It was mainly an issue with the law firm itself, is why this is being addressed. If the city is concerned, which is I am very concerned with having two law firms myself, then the mayor doesn't have to appoint Odelson and Stirk. Okay, we only have one law firm at that point. And then I'll bring in the question again. Bill, were you there that night too when I was talking to Alderman Hawley? I remember I was talking to one of you. I know Alderman Hawley.
Which night again? I'm sorry.
The night that you brought in Odelson and Stirk.
Oh, yes.
What was the question? Did I say any other what?
You said
Any other law
You said-
firm, I would have voted for it immediately. Okay?
Well, you didn't say that. You just said if it had been any other
Any
law
other
firm,
law
you
firm,
wouldn't be so
okay?
angry.
Yes.
That's what I took away
So
from
this is a long-standing issue of non-representation for the majority of the city council, and I'd say a majority of the city council have not felt they've been equally represented by the attorney. Okay? Same thing with the committees, and it's just my opinion against yours, Bill, and I respect your opinion as I always have. Okay?
We replaced the existing law firm because they were running over to, as we laughingly referred to it as, the York Street City Hall. That was a problem. That's why we brought a new law firm in. I was chair of Judiciary Committee for the last 2 years. I've dealt with Carrie and Leslie and others, well, those two at Odelson and Stirk, and I've had a very good experience with them.
I don't believe you didn't.
I have actually not seen them defending the mayor. I have seen them defending the city and the mayor's office, not the mayor personally. And there's a big difference.
I want
And I
to clarify also that this law firm does not represent the York Street office. It doesn't work for the township. It's another municipal law firm that I know just from my school district I'm administrator of. They do a lot of work on the south side. So I picked him out. I like the guy. He seems across very intelligent. He seems very
It's just a
workable.
coincidence that they donated to your campaign?
No, I've been talking to him for a while now.
Okay.
All right? It's not a coincidence. All right? But I believe Matt Welsh is an excellent attorney. I trust his opinion. I get along with him. He's very compassionate and very compromised. Every time I've talked to him, it's about, well, are you sure you want to do this? How about this? You know?
And I'm not questioning the attorneys. I'm sure that they're capable. I don't have an issue there. But I have an issue with that we have to have two law firms.
We don't have
It
to,
doesn't
though, do
make
we?
any sense
We
to
don't
me.
have to, do we?
Well, we have one.
We have one that's on a temporary appointment that actually should be appointed at the last council meeting. Every 2 years, it has to be appointed by the mayor. It hasn't been done yet. So it doesn't have to be two law firms, Bill.
It doesn't have to be,
It
but
doesn't
it
have to
is.
be. It doesn't have
and
to
the mayor
be.
is going to retain this law firm. Fred, you
You're
know
sure
that.
about that, but doesn't have to. At that point, if he does, with a minority vote, he's doing the same
Are we going
thing.
to just hold our breath until we turn blue because we don't like what the mayor has done? No.
Bill,
He's
I'm
gonna
stating a
keep-
fact.
He's going to
I'm
keep
stating a
Odelson
fact.
and Stirk. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
We're going to have two law firms for the next 2 years.
And that wouldn't be our choice.
Ridiculous.
It wouldn't be our choice. Then don't appoint Odelson and Stirk.
I'm not doing it.
I'm
He
addressing the
is.
mayor, Bill. I'm sorry. Mayor, don't appoint Odelson and Stirk.
He's going to do
Okay?
it.
All right. We're assuming he's
acknowledge
going to do
reality
it.
and move on.
All right?
You
I'm
have
going to give him the
play
higher road.
cards
Don't
you
do
are
it.
dealt.
All right? Don't. Listen to the majority of the city council. I'm addressing him, Bill, just to clarify. We don't want 2 law firms. Go with 1. Go with any other law firm without Olson & Stirk.
How about 3 or 4?
Just saying.
Mr. Mayor, are you going to not appoint Olson & Stirk? He's going to stay with us. All right. You know what? Like it or not, that's the fact. Are we going to just have a second law firm and spend all this money and watch our streets
And
go down?
I'll address that
because
too.
we don't
Wait,
like
I'll address
the
that too.
mayor's
And Bill, I think it's unfair saying about the streets. We compromised at the budget and levy, moving as much money as possible we can this year with streets. We've compromised on that multiple times. The streets is a priority for every single person in this room, including you and Holly and anybody else.
That's
I'm
not the
gonna
way.
take that from
That's
them.
not the way
However,
your campaign
however,
portrayed
however,
me in numerous
however,
mailings.
I don't want to get into
just
a
so
campaign
you know.
to campaign, and I always addressed you, even on election day, as an equal.
I understand.
Did I do that?
You did.
All right?
Absolutely you did.
So
But
I'm
your
talking-
boss didn't.
I'm not
Your
talking about
boss
bosses.
didn't.
I'm not talking about bosses. There's no bosses. We elect our wards here. All right?
Oh, come on.
All right.
Ah,
You're
come
going down a path where I was going on a high road, Mr.
Well,
Farnwell. All right?
Let's be honest.
I'm being
That's
very
all.
honest with you. I'm on a high road. We're talking about just the issue at hand right now.
Yeah.
Okay? And I'm taking full responsibility for this issue at hand.
I
No
appreciate
boss
that.
down the street or across the road or at Moraine Valley or down the street anywhere else. Okay? Anybody else wants to join the crowd. I'm talking about this has been a mine for 2 years, my mind, and you admitted that I've been having an issue with this for 2 years. Okay? So I'd like to stay on that high road with you. I'm taking responsibility
Okay,
of it.
but you're
All
not.
right.
We're going to have 2 law firms for the next 2 years. That is what
So
is
let me address
going
that.
to happen.
Let me address that. Why do we need to be redundant? If,
We don't.
If Mr. Horvath wants to represent the city as the city attorney appointed by the mayor under a temporary appointment, let him do that. Welsh doesn't have to sit up there. But if we feel maybe Montana Welsh should review the budget and levy or sit at 1 or 2 meetings a year, Horvath doesn't have to come to that meeting. Or they don't have to work on the same issue unless the mayor wants Mr. Horvath to work on the issue, or Orlson and Stirk. I'm just going to say the firm. I want to stop saying Mr. Horvath's name because I know it's a firm. So if he wants to use Orlson and Stirk, let him use it. We don't want redundancy either. Again, it goes back to my fact, we don't need to have 2 law firms. We don't need any redundancy.
What you're suggesting doesn't
All
make
right.
a whole lot of sense to me, but it could be talked about. But I don't want this firm appointed tonight.
No, I don't want to talk about it, Bill. I do want to talk about it. And you said majority of the time, I'm all about compromise. However, a lot of issues came up during the election where 8 out of 9 of the aldermen that I've polled and that won the election were pretty much agreement that we don't want to listen only to Orlson and Stirk. Okay? And we wanted advice on the committees. All right? This is the majority. This is democracy, right? This is not a despotic rule. We should have more input. And the ordinance does say, the current ordinance, before we change it, if we change it, says advice and consent, which we did not get advice, and we definitely did not consent on the Orlson and Stirk 2 years ago. Okay?
You know, I understand what you're saying, but the fact of the matter is, Olderson and Stirk is going to be our law firm for the next 2 years. I think they do a pretty good job. Whether you have issues with the mayor and them, I'm not going to get in the middle of that. But we are going to spend a lot of money that could go into other things. It could be streets, it could be other stuff.
But you keep throwing out a lot of money. They come in at the same dollar amount as Orlson and Stirk have been billing, am I right? True or false?
Correct.
All right, same dollar amount. We're not looking for redundancy. We're not looking like, I got you, let's have you look at this too. That would be idiotic and not fiscal responsibility.
Who's
That's
gonna
not
manage
something. That's something we have to disguise in compromise, which I've been talking about. All right? If we advise him to do anything, all right, it would have to be discussed in open session here. It's a majority vote.
I lose.
That's the way the thing is. 2 years ago, I lose.
Right.
Okay? It's the way it is, Bill.
No, I understand.
All right?
I understand.
Was
But I
I not
don't-
in the minority for
right.
2 years?
Yep.
And
But
I
I'll just
worked
say-
as best I can with what we have. Okay? We need to dig in and fix our problems. And I feel like peeling the Band-Aid off so we can move forward and calling these committees and actually fixing the city. And you know I honestly mean fixing the city when I say that. All right,
I
Bill?
know you do.
So I
know you do.
appreciate, you got any other questions? I'm more than happy to answer them. But I want to take responsibility. I reached out and polled the alderman
All
for
right,
both
fine.
these issues.
Okay. Now, that is what I wanted to know.
All right.
I appreciate your talking to me as I always do. I just don't see the sense, despite what you've said, in hiring another law firm. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I mean, we agree,
but
disagree.
I can only do
That's
is
the
sit
opinion.
here and vote
All
tonight.
right, we agree to disagree.
That's
All
exactly
right,
right.
we've done this before,
Yes,
and we
we
can
have.
still shake our hands after the meeting.
Yes, we will.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right.
Anything else, Alder? I'm done. Councilor, did you have something to say?
Yes, with respect to the ordinance, the ordinance that you're considering at this point in time. I do want to point out two things which could create an issue in the future. The first is Section 5. It says all ordinances, resolutions, motions, or orders in conflict with this ordinance, including but not limited to Ordinance 11-128, passed 4/12/2011, are hereby repealed to the extent of such conflict. Ordinance 11-128 was the ordinance which defined the jurisdiction of the various committees and what they were to do. It also required the committees to make written reports on a regular basis. When a repealer is put into effect like this, there can be some confusion, and this ordinance probably should have been drafted with a little bit more art. But I understand that it was probably done by the aldermen prior to polling and then circulated. The second concern I have, and while the term polling has been tossed about, I am the city attorney, and I am concerned about potential violation of the Open Meetings Act. Whether it occurred or not, public business such as this is to first be authorized publicly, and then the ordinances generally get created. My experience with this council has been that virtually everything goes through a committee and then comes back after some discussion, but there's been public input, at least from the entire council. That may not have happened in this instance, but the term polling is oftentimes loosely used for the term vote. And so there is a concern, and if there is a violation of the Open Meetings Act and it is reported, the city will incur expense to respond to that. The city will, and I say expense, legal expense, and if the Attorney General determines that there has been a violation, there could be ramifications for the members of the council. And I point that out to you because a number of you are new. So I have a misgiving about that. The third thing is this ordinance contains what we call an urgency clause. I've been doing this representing municipalities since 1985. And in all of the years that I have represented municipalities, I have used the urgency clause one time, and it was for an emergency. I presume there was some discussion somewhere during the course of the polling that took place about the urgency of this particular matter. I'm not quite sure. It's a very unusual clause to put in a situation like this where you're talking just about membership of committees, particularly when the mayor has also included on the agenda his proposed committees for your consideration. Finally, and this is on a personal note, I rarely ever use the word lie. And the reason I don't use the word lie is because it has such a derogatory context. And I will not dignify the accusation by Mr. Klinker, Alderman Klinker, because I know the truth, and I'm going to leave it at that. But there has been no lie that I have committed, nor do I ever loosely call someone a liar. On that, you have my comments. Care to act on this ordinance? It's up to you.
Thank you, Attorney Horvath. I make a motion to roll call.
Motion, do you have a second by Alderman Donahue? Roll call.
Carr.
Aye.
Carr, aye. Cantelo-Zylman.
Aye.
Cantelo-Zylman, aye. Slattery.
Aye.
Slattery, aye. Clinker.
Aye.
Clinker, aye. Alexander.
Aye.
Alexander, aye. Bellato. Aye. Bellato, aye. Costas.
Aye.
Costas, aye. Rita.
Aye.
Rita, aye. Donahue.
Aye.
Donahue, aye. Holly.
No.
Holly, no. Farnwell.
No.
Farnwell, no. Hill.
Aye.
Hill, aye. Mack.
Aye.
Mack, aye. 11 ayes and 2 noes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
I make a motion for resolution of the City of Blue Island, Cook County, Illinois, appointing members and chairpersons of the City Council standing committees.
Let me just make this comment before you go to a vote. I do
Need a
have
second.
list.
Need a second.
Please.
I second it.
Motion and second. Who's
I'm
the
sorry.
Who did the motion?
Motion's Bellato, second by
Alderman Rita. Okay, just to make a quick comment. I do have my appointments here, and I will make them during the regular mission. Go ahead.
your microphone.
It's on.
Pull it closer.
Got it. So there's a motion, there's a second. Again, any comment that gets us already discussed? Roll call.
Hold on, wait. Time out. What did you say right before you were?
Did I have a list? During the regular meeting, I'm going to make this.
You have your own list, sorry. I thought you were switching
So
your
the
list in now.
No, there's a motion and a second.
The motion and the second is on Resolution 2019-013.
Thank you for
Correct.
the indulgence.
Roll call, please.
Carr.
Aye.
Carr, aye. Cantelo-Zylman.
Aye.
Cantelo-Zylman, aye. Slattery.
Aye.
Slattery, aye. Clinker.
Aye.
Clinker, aye. Alexander. Alexander, aye. Bellato.
Aye.
Bellato, aye. Costas.
Aye.
Costas, aye. Rita.
Aye.
Rita, aye. Donahue.
Aye.
Donahue, aye. Hawley.
No.
Hawley, no. Farnwell.
No.
Farnwell, no. Hill.
Aye.
Hill, aye. Mack.
Aye.
Mack, aye. 11 ayes and 2 abstentions, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, Alderman.
I'll make a motion, an ordinance of the City of Blue Island, Cook County, Illinois, amending chapters 30 and 31 of the Code of Blue Island, Illinois.
Got a motion, do you have a second? Alderman Vita. Any questions?
That's 2019-016.
Roll call, please.
If I may, Mayor,
Go ahead.
with respect to this particular ordinance, while I know there's been discussion about redundancy, this ordinance does authorize drafting of ordinances, opinions on the powers of the legislative branch, analysis of the validity of actions taken by the city, whatever that means, review of litigation issues, which is outside the purview of legislative council, representation of corporate authorities regarding legislative matters in litigation that probably should be further specified or limited and possibly removed, since legislative council, generally speaking, if I understand the comments of Alderman Bellato and the law, generally speaking, deals with the creation of legislation or assisting the council in creating legislation. And then there's a general catch-all providing other advice on matters within the purview of the legislative branch. So that provision probably exceeds the authority of legislative council. The allowance of each alderman to be authorized to seek legal counsel regarding any matters within the range of items specified in subsection A allows all 14 aldermen to communicate with respect to whatever they may consider to be a legislative matter. The other matter is, again, this also has an urgency clause, as I expressed earlier, which avoids the need for publication of this ordinance for a minimum of 10 days prior to its becoming effective. And then it also somehow attempts to limit the authority of the city attorney with a general statement, except as otherwise provided in Chapter 30, for whatever that means. Again, I assume this ordinance was drafted by...
None of us.
I don't know, but it probably could have been more articulate and limited in what it does.
So, given that, I would just like to say, just sitting here objectively, listening to what our city attorney had just said, whether I was for or against this, I would know that this needs some perfecting. This is not a good ordinance. I'm hearing him tell us that. It should be referred to a committee, it should be vetted, it should be perfected, at the least.
Thank you, Alderman.
Motion for roll call.
All right, got a motion, you got a second by Alderman Donahue?
Rita was the second on
All
that.
right, whatever. Roll call.
Carr.
Aye.
Carr, aye. Cantelo-Zylman.
Aye.
Cantelo-Zylman, aye. Slattery.
Aye.
Slattery, aye. Clinker.
Aye.
Clinker, aye. Alexander. Alexander, aye. Bellato.
Aye.
Bellato, aye. Costas.
Aye.
Costas, aye. Rita.
Aye.
Rita, aye. Donahue.
Aye.
Donahue, aye. Holly.
No.
Holly, no. Farnwell.
Got a lot of independent thinkers here. No.
Farnwell, no. Hill.
Aye.
Hill, aye. Mack.
Aye.
Mack, aye. 11 ayes and 2 noes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Your Honor, make a resolution, the City of Blue Island, Cook County, Illinois, retaining a legislative council and approving a retention agreement regarding the same.
Got a motion? Got a second by Alderman Donahue? Any questions? Go ahead, Alderman.
Alderman Clinker and Alderman Alexander, I'm just wondering, did you guys have a chance to interview or talk to the attorney that you
I
are
did not
appointing?
speak to him. I did check their website out and I read through the ordinance, but I did not speak to him personally.
I did both.
You what?
I looked at both. I
Oh,
talked
you
with
did?
them and I did get the website.
Okay. And then, were there any others considered that you know of?
Not that I know
Alderman
of.
Bellato? It was just this one?
I like him.
You like them? Okay. And then, I do, I am concerned about the funds as well. The engagement letter is written for him representing the city council of the city of Blue Island.
That would include yourself.
I understand, but I do believe that it would probably be good if those who vote aye on this motion would be the ones that would be paying their bills.
I make a motion for roll call.
Spoken by our CPA, who has not been put on the Finance Committee by this group.
There's a motion, there's a second.
If I may,
Go ahead,
if I may, the resolution as prepared is silent in terms of who is authorized to execute the agreement. The mayor, I have not had an opportunity to, I, like most of you, probably received this late on Friday, just before leaving for the holiday. I have not had a chance to go over it with the mayor. I don't know if the mayor will sign the agreement. As I said, most of the resolutions that I prepare requiring a contract for you new members of the city council authorize the mayor, first they approve the contract, and they also authorize the mayor to sign. This is apparently a new version to avoid having the mayor execute his duties as the chief executive of the city, which is somewhat unique in my experience, because in the interest of openness, I would think that the polling that occurred would have also polled to determine who's going to sign this and attempt to bind the city of Blue Island.
I made a motion for roll call.
There's a motion, there's
May-
a second.
May I just make
Go
it?
ahead.
I'm just going to kind of ditto, but again, he has given us reason to want to look a little bit more at this before we approve it. There are obvious problems that can cost the city additional money.
Alderman, I've now twice had a motion for roll call, and I'm being ignored.
All right, go ahead.
Sorry.
Motion and second, give him the roll call.
Carr.
Aye.
Carr, aye. Cantelo-Zylman.
Aye.
Cantelo-Zylman, aye. Slattery.
Aye.
Slattery, aye. Clinker.
Aye.
Clinker, aye. Alexander.
Aye.
Alexander, aye. Bellato.
Aye.
Bellato, aye. Costas.
Aye.
Costas, aye. Rita.
Aye.
Rita, aye. Donahue.
Aye.
Donahue, aye. Holly.
No.
Holly, no. Farnwell.
No.
Farnwell, no. Hill.
Aye.
Hill, aye. Mack.
Aye.
Mack, aye. 11 ayes and 2 noes, Your Honor.
Before we move on for the motion for adjournment, I'm taking your decision as council under advisement and I will make my decision whether I approve of it or not in accordance with the law. Council, do you have anything to say?
At this point, no. However, I noticed there's a court reporter in the audience. I personally did not ask the court reporter to be present, but the minutes of this meeting are being transcribed. And I would ask the city council, as part of its legislative duty, to consider authorizing the transcript to be prepared so we have an accurate record of what has transpired here this evening. If you want, I can prepare an appropriate resolution authorizing that and the payment for the expense for the transcript for the special meeting.
Can I follow up on that? You said you asked her to come, or you didn't ask her to come?
No, I did not. I have no idea why the court reporter appeared.
But you, okay, got it.
But since she's here, I think we need.
Sure. No, I was just
an
clarifying.
accurate record of what was said and done and the answers provided, so that if and when there is the complaint made to the Attorney General, that there will be a record of the proceedings.
Sure, definitely. Carrie, I just wanted to make sure I understood.
Is there a motion for adjournment?
I got a comment to make now. So, I'm honestly, with sincere, now that we've peeled the Band-Aid off, and hopefully the mayor signs it, it's been voted by the council, we can work together and get down to business.
Alderman Bellato, I want you to know that I have expressed my opinions here very forcefully because I feel very strongly about them, but I feel even more strongly that we need to conduct the business of the city. I will work with all of you in any way I can to make improvements that desperately need to be made.
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
I also don't feel that we weren't really working together before. I also don't feel that we weren't
We need
working.
to, though, now. We need to.
Need a motion
Everybody
for adjournment?
needs to.
Is there a motion for adjournment? Motion by Alderman Fairwell. Is there a second? Yes, we're staying here. Motion by Alderman Carr. All in favor?
Aye.